All right, so we're doing the countdown. All right. Well, I guess we're live. What's up, everybody? Talking motorbikes. And tonight I've got my regular guest here. Oh, look, it's Ken Hill. And he's
And we're
wearing the
talking motorbikes.
And we are talking motorbikes.
There we go.
You know, Ken, he's involved in that team with the Super Sport with CJ LaRoche, and just came back from a hot as balls weekend at COTA.
Holy crap. God. You know, I mean, obviously, traveling around the US throughout the year, there's places like, whatever, Road Atlanta, Road America, it's hot, it's humid, I get it. And 2022, we had that crazy ridge heat where,
right.
I mean, people were literally dropping and getting taken to the hospital. This was horrible. I don't know how. We were in a garage. Yeah, and it wasn't the air-conditioned attack garage.
Yeah,
I didn't have that.
I mean, look, I'll be straight with you, man. Like, I kept hearing rumors that we were hiding from something, you know. I was in the garages with Richard all weekend over there at the Attack Yamaha crew. And, you know, we had the garage doors closed front and rear all weekend. And people are like, what are they hiding? They must be cheating. I mean, maybe that's where the cheating fuel thing came from. I don't know, but what we were hiding from was the hot as balls weather outside.
It was horrific. I mean, so I made every excuse to go see Canfield every moment I could, or go to talk to JD every moment I could, because it's like their garage is air conditioned. And so, I mean, we were privileged already having a garage. The people that didn't have a garage and they were outside, I literally don't know how they did it. It was, dude. It was horrific.
Yeah, man. Like I ran into a bunch of privateer dudes. You know, I'm gonna have some of them on the show in the next couple weeks. But one of them's a commenter right here, the weirdo on the Honda. You know, Trevor Watson. But they were all outside, and I was like, bro, like, how do you guys do it? Like, we walked. You know, Gil Ramos and I walked around a few times, and we literally walked around for like an hour and went back in. Or we went up to JD's suite upstairs and hung out in there and ate the Westby cookies. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was horrific. And it was funny because there was also a big, like, Friday and Saturday were just bad. They were just.
By the way, really quick, Trevor Watson said it was quesadilla hot out there.
It was quesadilla hot. I'm sure you can.
And he said in his pit, it was 113 under his canopy.
Oh my God,
dude! Could you imagine?
No, I mean, I've been through. Trust me. I mean, I've born and raised in the Sacramento Valley, right? I've done back-to-back races, Underhill, and all that,
right?
And I've done the Willow Springs, July, August. I've done all that. This was worse.
I could tell you why it was worse, because at Willow Springs in July and August, and Buttonwillow in July and August, and Thunderhill in July and August, I'll admit, all three of those places are hot as balls.
Yep.
The one thing that they don't have is 70% humidity.
Oh, it was.
So brutal. It's like, not only do you get like the 107, but you also get the sweat your balls off swamp ass thing going.
Yeah, I was brutal.
So
it was brutal.
Yeah.
So the COTA heat was something else, and I'm sure we have so many crazy things to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, how that affected riders, how that affected bikes, how that affected tire choices. I mean, there were so many things that were going on because of the heat. So anyway,
yes, and somebody just commented on the Terry Black's things, and Irate Barry also said, at least you don't have to wear lotion. But yeah, the Terry Black's thing, you know, I'm rocking the shirt. You know, Gil and I went there on our last night in Austin, and I gotta say, man, that place is the real deal, man.
I don't eat a lot of red meat. I will eat as much
brisket
red meat as I possibly can.
Dude,
there.
I think Gil and I split a pound of brisket, dude. Like, we had the meat sweat so bad when we walked out of there. I was like,
so good. That place is just, it's so good. And the way they set it up, right? It's so nice. And then when you go to get your actual cuts of stuff, they're so nice. They'll give you a sample, right? I mean, they're wonderful.
They're like, oh, you want to try a burnt end of? Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is always yes. Just a heads up.
It's like crack, though. That's the problem. Like, you're going to turn that down.
No, absolutely not. Like when you get a rib and like you pick up the bone and the meat stays on your plate.
It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it, man. You started the weekend off. I've actually got practice one up right now.
It's not
And
good.
let me look up
It's
CJ
not
LaRoche
good.
because I want to find out, like, did he like wake up with the wrong kind of breakfast or something on Friday morning? Like, I mean, dude, I'm looking at his times and I'm like, bro, session one, he was like, I think his best lap was at 2:30.
It was not good.
I'm like, bro.
So it's funny, you know, we came into the weekend feeling really, really good, right? We had, even though our placing at pit wasn't where we wanted to, we had a very good performance at pit. We did some testing in between pit and COTA, which actually led to part of this issue, which I'll divulge in a second. But we felt really good about it. We thought we had a good setup, and we did some testing, and there were some characteristics of what we tested that we wanted to try here. And we thought, you know what, we've got a good base setup, and I keep spreadsheets and all that stuff of everything that we do. And we thought, okay, look, if we need to throw a hand grenade out there, and if this works, it's going to be great. And if it's not, we have something awesome to fall back onto. So we weren't worried about it. So we go, we've got this very different setup that we wanted to try, and it's outside our norm. Well, a couple of things happened on that first day. The first thing is, you know, we've been in this team environment for almost 3 years now, at the end of coming up on the end of 3 years. So 22 into 23. And during that time, and not including off-season testing, you know, just in Moto America, we've had around 180 sessions, right? So 180 sessions on track.
Right.
We've never had a mechanical. So in other words, we've never had a mechanical where we as a crew made a mistake or something got screwed up. And think about that, 180, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And bottom line is we fucked up.
You fucked up. You're just like, yep, we fucked up.
We fucked up.
What did you do? What'd you fuck up?
I mean, I'll tell you, we left the rear axle nut loose.
Shut the fuck up.
We did.
How does that even happen?
You know, okay, so since we're getting into it, and again, I'm very transparent with these things.
Yeah.
We made a massive mistake. Well, the problem, we made a mistake, but also we have a check sheet, and the check sheet didn't catch it. So we actually ended up with 2 issues. Not good.
Dude.
Not good. It
That's
ended
terrible.
up being, it is terrible. And we ended up having very much a one-way conversation, obviously, after the session. But everybody, it's not, I mean, ultimately it's my fault, right? I mean, ultimately it's mine.
The reality is, but did he die?
No, but
Right?
it's definitely, think about this, you know, COTA is the longest, not the longest straightaway that we go to, but obviously it's very good top speed. And the decided to spit itself coming out of turn 11. And as he was clicking through the gears, obviously didn't feel well. And then when he stopped, he noticed the axle sticking halfway.
So
out.
he had, did he have like dynamic chain adjustment?
We had wheelbase adjustments. We had geometry adjustments. We had alignment adjustments. Yeah. And to be clear,
God, dude, I can only imagine, dude.
He didn't like any of them.
Oh, I bet.
So, I mean, you got to think about, you know,
I'm like, you guys didn't hire Andy Palmer, did you?
No, gosh, our guys are so great.
I said it out loud. What?
Our guys are so great. I mean, we're blessed. I mean, we made a mistake, and we as a team own up to the mistake. Yeah, that's the way it is.
I mean, look, even the best teams have weird shit, right? I mean, look, like, you remember at Laguna, right? Like, we sent Jake out without pumping his brake, right?
That's correct. I mean, we for us, again, we've done 180 Moto America sessions and never had a mechanical. That doesn't include all the off-season testing that we've done. So that's not an excuse, because we should never have this issue. But the thing is as a rider, you develop this incredible sense of confidence on your bike and your team. Like, you get on it, it's your bike, right? You feel like it's your bike. You can do no wrong. And this is amazing. And honestly, that was a punch in the face for our rider. I mean, that was, Yeah, it was. I mean, especially again, super fast area.
I mean, a loose axle is super confidence inspiring, I think.
No, we fucked up.
Oh wait, no.
So we get done with that session, and I mean, you can just think of the poor rider, right? The poor rider's like, you know, so if it's one thing, it's what else is wrong. So we get done with the session, and of course, the new setup that we wanted to evaluate, that was completely out the window.
Right.
So we have to make a decision then, how do we get our riders' confidence back? And we did it two ways. One was we stuck with our process of how we're, you know, checking things off. But now we had to develop another thing. Now it became a 2-person check sheet where normally we have a person assigned at the front of the bike, a person assigned at the back of the bike, and they do overlap. And yeah, there's times it gets a little bit lax because you know, shit gets done. So we had to go back to basically one person holding the clipboard, calling out what needs to be done, and the other person checking it and literally saying check. I mean, we literally had to go piece by piece.
Wow, man.
Well, I mean, this is so. Let's pause here.
Did you guys have like different people this weekend?
No, we didn't. It you know, it's easy to get complacent with these things, but also it's so important because this is a consequence bearing activity, right? Think about if you know, CJ clicked 5th to 6th gear on the back straight and this had been a problem. Not good, right? This is honestly, it's a lethal issue.
Yeah.
And so it has to be taken seriously. It's not, I can go get my other shirt if you want. It says it's not bowling, right?
Right.
And that's the thing, right? Could you imagine rolling a gutter ball and you wrote a gold?
Yeah, you end up in the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, we're breaking your femur, right? So it from a rider's perspective, it really shakes you. So we get back, and honestly, everything that we did on the first setup was a waste of time. So how do we get his confidence back? We get his confidence back by then, you know, reestablishing our process, reestablishing our procedure, and then putting the bike back on our known setup. Because even if we went out on the other setup, his brain's going to be on that. COTA is the most insane track to ride and learn.
Yeah.
And having to deal with all that. So we go back and we put our known setup on, and guess what? Our known setup is shit. So we end up, I mean, you know, you got to look at CJ's results.
Like, why was it shit though? Like, is it just the track is so different? It's requires different shit.
Yeah, it is. So we ended up ultimately being much softer front and rear than we normally are. So we had a pretty good setup for pit. We were happy with how the bike transitioned at pit. We're happy how it held its corner, how we could drive. Bike kept turning. We were, and if you look at our data versus even some winners at pit, as far as the critical areas of direction changes and the critical areas of the S's, we're the same. So we felt good about, you know, we kind of put a bike together that would have good support of the brakes, but also a bike that would be good in S's because S is such a part of it. And it did not work. So we ended up basically, if you looked at us Friday afternoon, we were done. We weren't qualifying.
Yeah. Dude, you told me. Like, you were taking bites out of that taco and you're like, yeah, dude, we're not making it.
Well, you know, it's funny. There's a lot to unpack here. And the one is, I mean, getting punched in the face is never fun.
Yeah.
It's what you do after you get punched in the face that's important.
Right.
And, you know, you look at CJ, right? CJ's run as high as P5 in Super Sport. We finished high as P8 in the extended races. I mean, the guy can ride a freaking motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's so obviously
he's definitely not a 31st place guy.
He's not a 31st place guy.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's easy to go, we suck. I hate COTA. I never want to come here again and basically not do anything and just survive the weekend. Or you fucking pull up your bootstraps, you fucking, you know, get your shit together, you double down with the team and you work the process. And that's basically what we did. And I mean, you saw a result.
Yeah, dude, I see a 229 the first session. And then in his best lap in race 2 was a 218.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, we were actually a theoretical 217, which a 217 for us, like an 18 theoretical 217 on an R6 at that track is an amazing performance. We were running P7, P8 pace the last few laps, and unfortunately, it did get red flagged before. So yeah, we rallied, and that really is a testament to sticking with the process and doubling down on technique, doubling down on being technical. Now, this is a great learning moment, which there's nothing wrong with being emotional, right?
Right.
Emotion's great. Emotion is what pisses you off. Emotion is what leads you. Emotion should lead you to the technical part. Emotion should not be the technique. If we let emotion be the technique, we were fucked.
Let emotion be the technique. You're going to have to buy a lot of bodywork.
Yeah, or don't qualify. Or we were going home Saturday morning. I mean, instead, that's where it's like, this is the time where there's a gun to your head. Who are you? And how are you going to act? And that's where professionals are truly made. And the team kicked ass. CJ kicked ass. I mean, the results spoke for themselves. And when we started back, I think we were P18, right? We qualified P18, and to be P12 and moving up, I'm over the moon actually with our result. Given that field and who's in that field, I'm over the moon with the result.
Yeah, I mean, finished P12.
Yeah.
When he started the weekend off in 31st, like that's
not good.
That's an impressive spike in result.
Yeah, and given that is not it's clearly not an R6 track. We'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, it does have long straightaways.
Yeah,
it was the back straightaways. I mean, you guys are on the pin in 6th gear, right? Down the back.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of time at full throttle at that track. Let's put it that way.
All right. So I got some comments coming in that line up with what we're talking about. So Trevor Watson has a couple of comments, but he's like, he says, maybe was it a cutting corners deal because there's so much rubber laid down that you can't really see the lines on track? And then he also says, there ain't no way, just for confidence, that's got to stay internal. I ain't losing the next session over a loose anything. And he says it's too personal. Someone left someone accidental loose something, I think is what he means. It's not common. No way the rider loses all the confidence by one simple mistake after a season of performance.
Yeah, they do. Sorry. They do.
Yeah, they do, man. Like, the sport's mental, Trevor. Come on, dude. Oh, that's right. You're that weirdo on the Honda.
Yeah, they do. Sorry, they do. And I mean, trust me, I can tell you story after story, whether it's a Hayden Gillum, a JD Beach, or whether it's any of these guys. They're professionals and they're going to go out and do their job.
I mean, I'll use the Heron guy as an example, right? When he rode for our team, our first test that when he signed on the deal, like our first test, he went there and, they go out first session. Gagne is insane, right? Gagne is like 3 seconds a lap faster than him. And he comes in and spent the rest of the test talking about how thick the grips were, like that's,
I'm well aware of the used hand grip story.
Yeah. I mean, and then, back in the day, there's other riders talking about, they spend so much time about their seat pad and their seat pad height and, oh, you got to bleed my thumb brake, like riders have a lot of weird, like we all have weird shit, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and to Trevor's point, a couple things there with Trevor's point is, one, you have to remember he's built this confidence over 3 years. So we've never had a mechanical issue in 3 years. And then suddenly we have a mechanical.
Yeah.
And so it's great, but when the blow actually happens, it's a little bit devastating. And I completely empathize with him. And trust me, I've literally pulled up to an endurance race on somebody else. I got hired to do an endurance race on somebody's bike, and you go out and you kind of do your little, your walk around, make sure the bike's good. Then you come back in and you do your session. And you go, hey, the front brake rotors are doing something weird. You'll see the caliper hanging off, right? I mean, it's just been there. So I get it. So it's like, well, if it's one thing, then what else is that way?
Yeah.
So Yeah, it is tough. And then as far as some of the setup, I think Trevor mentioned some setup. Yeah, CJ, I mean, we had been to COTA before, so we felt pretty good about where we were, our bike placement and where we were on track. Yes, we did work on it we were finally in a position to work on it on Saturday. We did. But yeah, we found setup wise that track definitely liked things much softer. We ended up with a much softer rear setting, a much softer front setting.
Even with the hard braking?
Yep. Yeah. It's because the braking zones are so long.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, they're so long. So it's not like, think about a road to Atlanta, like a turn 13 at Atlanta or even a 10 at Atlanta. I mean, a 10 at Atlanta is, it's the same sort of idea where you approach it from a long distance. And so, yeah, we still ended up with a fairly softer setting that we normally would be at. And also part of that was balancing what was going on with the rear of the bike. So yeah, I mean, that took us a little bit of surprise. And it's like, I wish we had one more session. We would have been 17s. I'm confident of it. And anyway, but that's racing.
Wow, man. Okay, so another couple of comments here. Couple from Stephen Pettinger, and he's wanting to know if Terry Black's barbecue is better than the Bucky's brisket outside of the Barber racetrack. And
Bucky's
I guess
is pretty good, but no, Terry. Honestly, I've been to both. Terry Black's all the way. Terry Black's is actually that one is good, but Terry Black's is. So the thing.
Well, let's just be real, guys. Like, I mean, this is a Talkin Motorbike show, but former fat guy here, so like I can speak barbecue. Alabama barbecue is a little bit different. It's Texas is all about the dry rub and the smoke, and then whereas Alabama barbecue is like kind of vinegary, mustardy based kind of thing. So it's a little different. But
that's way deeper than I would have gone. It's basically you go to Terry Black's and you're kind of worried because you go in and it's kind of big, right? You're kind of like, well, you're like, oh wow, this is just kind of a commercial thing. Absolutely not. It is. Yeah. It is amazing. So yeah. I'm voting Terry Black's all the way.
And he says, I guess he's racing at Barber in a couple of weeks, and he's apparently going to pretend that Bucky's is anything like the Austin stuff. And then he's mentioning that he thinks that rear axle nuts need to be safety wired in Moto America, or they should be.
I mean, I'm going to say no. I mean, professionals should do their job and they should not have a problem. And this is one where we fucked up. And trust me, it's never going to happen again. But I don't think so. I mean, you can go crazy with that stuff, but I think we made a mistake.
Dude, you're human. Everybody makes mistakes. I mean,
absolutely.
There's another guy that what's his name? Robert Johnson. He says they do a safety checklist every session on their bagger. Says it's very helpful, helps you catch things that you might have overlooked. And it sounds like you guys have that checklist. It just got overlooked.
I mean, I know exactly what happened and why. And yes, we have a checklist, and there ended up being a discussion about something else. And that particular thing got overlooked. And so trust me, we vetted it out. We do have a checklist system. It works extremely well. Again, I mean, we're talking about one incident, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. I take it personally. But you also have to remember, we also have done 180 Moto America sessions, almost 180.
And not had one mechanical issue.
No, and probably over 100 testing sessions with no mechanicals.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, the ratio, obviously the percentage is low, but the idea is to have percentage.
Look, when there's humans involved in things, there's going to be shit fucked up.
Correct.
Period. Right.
Yep.
So, looking at the team, the Attack Yamaha team, I mean, obviously they've had a couple of mistakes the last couple of years, right? They with the brake lever pumping thing, like that's a pretty unusual thing to happen, but it's happened. I think there was a tire pressure thing one time, and it's like, oh, oops, right? But Richard pretty much is hands off in there. Like he trusts Like those two bikes, each bike has its own crew. So on the Campy / JD Beach side, they got Will Morton, who's super reputable mechanic, has a shop up in, was it Vacaville or something? I don't know.
Yeah, Vacaville.
And then they've got him and Lee.
I mean, come on. I mean,
dude, if you've ever met Lee Vaughn, you've probably never met somebody with more OCD than that guy.
Between both of them. I mean, correct.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody has seen how Will takes care of his mustache, I mean,
I was actually going to make a joke about that. If Will's concerned about how many twists he has on his mustache.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well, he takes that over to the motorcycle.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, you go to the other side of the garage and you've got Canfield and Walker, right? And both of those guys are insane.
Life.
Yeah.
Their life.
Yeah. And then obviously you got Fernando and Corn Dog. And then behind the desks, you got Richard and Darren Marshall. And then you've got Maurice is kind of like a floater, but, all of those guys, like when they roll up, I've been watching them for years. And, this team is this same fucking dudes for like a decade, right? And so they all know it's like a machine. They go out, they all know what they're supposed to do. It's like boom, 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 by the numbers. And that's why, it's like a well-oiled machine, and you look at some of the other pro teams and it don't look like that. I mean, it's weird, like my perspective on racing is totally skewed because I'm involved with the attack program and I walk by some of the other teams and I'm like, man,
Well, yeah, I mean,
even the big ones.
Process, right? I mean, if we didn't have, one, again, if you look at it from a different angle, which is, again, we've probably had over, again, our success with no issues up to this point has been pretty stellar. Including testing, right? So that's obviously process. But also if we gave up on our process and let emotion take over, we would not have qualified, right? It's just like, well, COTA sucks. It's not my track. Let's go to Terry Black's barbecue and eat and drink beer and whatever. We'll write this weekend off. And it's like, you know what? No, fuck that, right? We're going to double down and we're going to double down on our process and we're going to double down on being professionals and we're going to figure this out. And we end up with an extremely good result. So
yeah. I mean, it looked like CJ's teammate was kind of struggling too. I mean,
yeah, Maz had some issues for sure. I mean, Maz obviously so fast, right? So fast.
Yeah.
And a little bit of this goes back to the heat. I mean, their bike struggled a little bit in the heat. They ended up popping a motor. So they popped a motor on Friday. I think it was Friday. They had to change the motor and then they put in, old College Katie. They had to put College Katie in. Basically everybody's ridden her. And, so they put College Katie a stock, basically a very stalker. And
you guys put the ratchet motor in there and then
pretty much. And it was good, but it wasn't the same as, the Screamer that he had. And it didn't handle the heat. And then speaking of that, right, we had the issues on grid. I mean, we can talk about some of the classes, right? We had, I think, Michael pulled off, Maz pulled off.
Were they holding the grid too long?
I mean, so, yeah, for whatever reason, right? They're not, obviously they're not trying to do that. They're not like, dude, let's see who's got the best cooling system. They're not doing that. Instead, what they're doing is, they're trying to get everybody assembled. I saw that they let two people out way later than, even though it might have been within the minute. Tough. Of course, you're dealing with a 2-minute 30, 220 lap.
Oh my God.
Right? It's tough to have those guys sitting there in 110-degree heat, obviously with no fans. So they roll up for the first time. I think they pulled or Gilbert pulls off because his motor started to puke water. And then now Maz's bike is up to whatever, 240, 250 degrees. And Maz pulls off. And then they ended up having to do a warm-up lap because it got to be such a fuck shop. So they did another warm-up lap, then they gridded and went off. And I think these are situations where I would really like to see Moto America do a grid and go, kind of what they do with some of the other classes where it's like a club race, right? You grid, you do a warm-up lap, you're good to go. And I don't think we need the quick start. I get it, but I think you're burning up an extra lap in those conditions.
Yeah. Richard had quite a bit to say about the VP fuel over the weekend, kind of being responsible for some of the engine failures, or suspected to be responsible for that. Do you think the fuel was also a problem for guys like Maz in that heat?
I'm gonna say yeah. And obviously we're running an R6, right? And R6 has got to be just the tightest.
You guys are leaning their shit out of those.
You don't have a choice, right?
Yeah.
And our world is a little bit different, where their world, they have the ability to do a little bit more on engine development. They're in a position to be able to do that. Their stuff is leaned on a little bit harder.
Yeah.
I think they've struggled on that side a little bit, just because their motors they're insanely fast for the R6,
right?
But they're just a little bit tighter. I'm not in bike development. I want nothing to do with bike development. I'm into the rider development and team development. So we outsource that, right? Our stuff is all Graves. Right. We've never had a single, knock on wood, mechanical failure with any of our Graves stuff ever. Really? Our bike, even in this heat, our bike never ran over 85C in the races. I mean, wow. No factor. Like, we're heat, freaking bring it on. Not worried about it.
Yeah, no worries.
So for us, it's not that big of a deal. So I think on their side, now the flip side is we may not have exactly the same performance. Obviously our bikes run really well. We had a pretty darn good trap speed for the R6s. We were definitely up there, but our stuff's a little bit more conservative. I think on his side, yeah, the fuel, I think the fuel makes a difference on his side of the tent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the Ducati guys on the Superbike side were having problems, I mean, I know that, I guess, I don't know what you call it, but whatever their engineer guy came over and was asking Richard, like, how to, like, strategy questions on how to help make the engine live.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, you're full throttle so much. Yeah. I mean, look at how many motors got popped. I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hayden popped a motor. I think Beamer popped a motor. Some of the BMWs popped motors or popped.
I think Attack swapped engines from one day to the next because, I mean, I don't know if you heard, but he goes in there every session. They pull the tanks, airbox, throttle bodies, everything, and he goes and gets down in there with a boring scope.
Yeah, bore scope and looks at it. Well, I mean, that's what you got to do and make sure nothing's a problem.
And he's like, "Ooh, yeah, we're gonna change that one." I mean, it's like he's like, anytime you see Richard go, that means they're changing the engine. So
yeah, I don't know, the fuel thing. I mean,
it's fucked up, man. It's
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do, and having a spec fuel is wonderful, but I think where we're at with spec fuel is I think we need a better spec fuel, or we need an open fuel.
Yeah.
Because it's starting to obviously it is limiting engine performance. We're having to detune for that. So,
well, also when you're one of those teams that has a Superbike and you have a Superbike engine spec, those fucking parts aren't cheap, man. And when you're basically running shit fuel through them, you got to build the engine around the shit fuel.
Yeah. So that's it, right. You shouldn't have to. Your engine development should not be around the low performance of the fuel.
Right.
You want to have other aspects that allow you to create a better engine performance, but not be handicapped by the fuel, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's when you shit an engine like that, I mean, I don't know how much it costs. I mean, everybody knows kind of a stock engine, like on an R1, to rebuild a stock engine. That's if you don't lose the cases. You're looking at like 10 grand, right?
Yeah,
like 8 to 10 grand.
Yeah, it's minimum.
So what's a Superbike with the porting on the cylinder head and the valves and everything? I mean, you're looking at probably, I don't know, 20 grand.
I was saying 20, 25. If the motor's disintegrated, it's 20 to 25 grand.
Yeah. So, you shit 25 grand because of shit fuel. It's like, you'd almost rather, well, not almost, you'd definitely rather pay 15, 20 bucks a gallon for good fuel,
Yeah. You're stepping over $100 bills to pick up nickels.
Yeah, pennies. I was gonna say, but yeah,
All right,
stepping over dollars.
What else we got? We have so much stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I got some more comments coming in.
Sure.
There's some guys talking about the safety wire and the axle thing and how like ARMA requires it, club racing requires it, but Motor America doesn't. And
they expect you to be professionals.
Yeah, it is a professional series right now. At least we'd like to think so, right?
Professionals make mistakes too.
Right. Trevor Watson says he legit uses the KH checklist. Do you have like a checklist that you would publish?
It's on my website. It's actually on my website.
Do?
Yeah, it's on my
shit.
Yeah, you go to my website and it's on forums and you can go there and there's a copy of, I think it might be, I don't know, it's like V4 version 4. We're on a different version now.
Yeah.
And we're going to
you know what? After this video ends, I'll put a link to that checklist on the description of the video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and everybody that wants a checklist to make sure your shit's tight.
Yep.
Use that.
Yep.
Correct. Right. Okay. And then let's see. Yeah, 848 Evo says there are rules that require safety wire, but no rules requiring it to be done properly. Says he's seen mostly improper safety wiring in pro and club racing paddocks, and it drives him crazy. I guess that's where his training come from with open wheel race cars. Okay. So, and then there's another guy saying about safety wire. He's an aircraft mechanic, you know. Yeah. Same kind of shit though, right? When you're in a plane and you have the safety wire shit, like your life is on the line, man.
Remember, safety wire isn't necessarily to keep it from backing off. Safety wire is really just to show that you tightened it. I mean, right. That's half the battle right there. So
yeah. And let's see. Trevor Watson saying, yeah, that AM PM fuel shouldn't be in any of our tanks. Honestly, Trevor, I think that MGP shit that you guys are using is probably worse than the fuel at Arco. I would almost bet on that. You know, yeah, people are saying that if the fuel is consistent, being crap or not an issue, as you can build to match. 771 Racing says that, and you know what, man, like. If you've seen what's been happening all year in the last 2 years, really in Motor America with that MGP fuel, I mean, when they changed it a couple of years ago, I think that's when problems started happening. Attack Yamaha's had it. A lot of the R6 guys have had the problem. Yeah. But even the BMW guys have had a problem. The Ducati guys, I mean, Petrucci shit 2 engines in a weekend last year at the Ridge, right?
Yep.
And then obviously I think the Ducati guys shit 2 this weekend. So, and it seems like it was related to the fuel. So it's not just the Yamaha guys. There's something up with the fuel, man. Like, you know, when the engines, I don't know. I'm not a mechanic, dude, but yeah, there's something up. I mean, Richard wouldn't say it if it wasn't it.
Yeah. So to move off of fuel a little bit, one interesting thing about COTA this weekend is tires made almost no difference.
Yeah.
I mean, even in our world, right? We tried 2 different fronts. We only had an option of 2 different rears.
We had a 5 and a 7.
No, in the rear we had a 7 or 8.
Oh,
and, yeah.
You guys didn't get the 5.
No, didn't get the 5. We had 7 or 8, and then we had the full gamut of fronts. And we tried a couple of different fronts. Basically, tires made no difference. One thing we had to do is reset warmer temps, right? So your tire warmer temps to try to match ambient. So we had the tire warmers cranked up. And then we saw a hell of a rise with pressures. And so we did have some adjustment with that. But yeah, it was really funny. I mean, we tried a different front tire and it's like, I don't know. Rear tire? Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I know podium on the 600, there were 3 bikes, the 3 bikes on the podium, 2 of them, basically there was 2 different compounds on the front and 2 different compounds on the rear. They all kind of worked. It was one of the few races where tires were just no factor.
Yeah, Richard said something similar last night. He said that they ran the 5 and the 7, and to him they were basically the same.
Yep.
At COTA. Is it just because it was just so hot it didn't matter? Like you just
no factor. No factor. Same thing, no factor.
Was it the heat or was it the time on the side of the tire?
No
Is the
clue.
fact? Like,
No clue. You know, the fronts were getting beat up a little bit in the beginning, and then the fronts cleaned up actually for us. We did adjust pressures a little bit. We actually dropped pressures a little bit just so we didn't get as much as a rise. But the rears look brand new. I mean, even didn't matter if it was the 7 or the 8 rears look brand new. Never complained about grip in our world. We did work a little bit on braking stability, but that was it. No grip issues.
well, I mean, you know, based on how you guys started the weekend over there, it sounds like finishing 12th on Sunday was like a win, basically, right?
It was a great win. And he was
I mean,
super fast, confident, literally getting quicker every lap. And the fact that the last couple of laps we were running like P7, P8 pace.
Yeah.
We were stoked. For us, it was a home run.
So let's talk about some of the other classes. Yeah. Like the Hooligans.
Oh my God. There's so many of them.
Right.
Holy crap.
I mean, Hooligans and baggers, dude. Like the baggers, man.
Okay.
Like,
So we'll start with Hooligans. First of all, did you see how effing fast they were?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. They're insane.
They're insanely fast. And they are not, I mean, of course, I'm sure people have seen the McWilliams O'Hara battle. I mean, they're not giving anything up.
They're murdering each other every lap, and it's amazing to watch. The
speeds are insane. I can't believe how fast they are. And yeah, again,
the top 3 guys, Debrino, the old geezer guy that's like, the 11-7-year-old man that's racing and he's at the front, and then Tyler O'Hara, like they're all doing 18s. What?
It's insane how fast they're going. And I mean, it's insane. Top speeds are good. Just an incredibly impressive class. And yeah, I mean, so just a positive thing. I am going to give a little bit of a shout out to a couple of people because I think the Hooligans class is incredibly important.
Yeah.
You can take. So first of all, we did 4 rounds. And it was cool, right? We do Daytona, we do COTA, the Ridge, epic tracks.
Yeah. So
a normal guy can do the entire series. And he can do it he doesn't have to have an insanely prepped bike, right? You can do some mods and go do the series and have a great time. Well, in my world, for the people, I've got 2 good friends, Mark Price, Sean Cressup. Mark builds a bike out of his garage in Seattle. Mark, has done club racing before. Mark's been one of my instructors for a while. Mark got 5th in the series. 5th in the series.
Wow.
And building a bike in his garage. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Sean Cressup he owns his own business, full-time job, going insane. He flies in and does these rounds. He gets 7th overall. I mean,
oh my God.
That's exactly what the series is supposed to be. And those guys are badasses because they obviously got top 10s the entire year. But that is a capable class. And I don't know.
Roland Sands has done such a good job with that class.
I agree.
And not only that, but he's like made it so even if you have some like 91 Harley Dyna or something, you got a place to race, right?
You can be in the you can be in the B if you want. Be in the B.
Dude, I ran into Roland. It all blends together, man. But I think I ran into him on Sunday. And he walks by and I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, dude, I'm stoked. Right. And he's like, dude, we had all this bikes here. Nobody got transported. Like he was like stoked. It was like he just won a championship. Right. But Roland's the boss of the thing. Right. Well, but so we're talking about Super Hooligans. Who walks up? Ruben Zaus.
Holy crap.
And I'm standing there like starfucker moment. Right. I was like, holy shit. So Ruben is talking about coming and racing baggers here next year because he says he's 15 years younger than Jeremy.
Oh God. Well, I mean, but see, that's the excitement. So, and then the other thing last thing on Hooligans is also because Roland, I mean, it's the rules are set away from Motor America. So like when they had the weight issues at Daytona, they made a decision day of to change the rules, and they did it. And that's I'm just super happy with how that program works. You know,
Yeah.
a guy that doesn't race a whole club, you know, a whole club season can come and do this. He can race in the big time and be really successful. So I'm pumped about that class. So
yeah, I mean, I ran into Hawk Mazzotta, and
yeah.
you know, I think Hawk won the championship for the air cooled side of Hooligans, right? I think.
I don't know.
Is that right?
It sounds
I think
right.
so.
Sounds right.
And dude, Hawk grinning ear to ear
How can you
when I
not?
saw he was there with his wife and kid, like they were hanging out, like.
Yeah.
But then he goes and grids up, and it's party time, right? So
I think it's great.
that class is super fun. It seems like probably the most popular class, really, with the fans, and the ridership is huge in that class. Man,
I don't know. I've said it since last year. I think that class is a great class and a great class to follow. So, okay, baggers, holy mother of God.
Yeah.
I mean,
you see Wyman? I mean, holy shit, dude. I mean, he'd come backing in full lock, you know. He looks like he's out riding a R6, but he's riding a 600-pound bagger.
I can't. I mean, one, how fast they're going. I mean, the lap times are out of this world, how fast they're going. The I mean, these guys they're not giving up anything. I mean, look at Rispoli and Hayden, right? I mean, they're are not giving up anything. The dynamics of the team dynamics of the bikes that they're building, it is, I don't know. I'm a fan. I think I love watching those guys and seeing how competitive they are. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, Rispoli did a 17 in race 2. Like, what, dude? Like, I mean, that's like they're doing. Well, Kyle did a 16 Kyle, Hayden Gillum, Rispoli all did 16s on Saturday.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean,
I think that lap times in everything. Am I crazy to think the lap times in everything was faster on Saturday because of the cloud cover? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But
yeah,
well, of course. Yeah, I'm trying to think. When did Jake? No, Jake did the 8s on Saturday. Yeah, he did the 8s on Saturday.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker then. But yeah, I mean, the bagger class is crazy. I mean,
dude, that would put them.
Dude,
16s would put these guys like top 10 in super sport on a bagger.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
I mean, that's just nuts.
And now look at the points, right? Look where we are with the points. You've got Hayden, Rispoli, and Wyman. I think all right there. It is going to be New Jersey.
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be nuts. So
yeah, they're going to Jersey in Kyle Wyman's backyard.
Well, okay, so
I mean,
Wyman is so fast there. I mean, he's so faster. So is Hayden.
Hayden Gillen's insane there. He's
So I mean, I think that's going to be an amazing class to watch. So that'll be good.
I can't remember what day because, like I said, it all blends together. But Gil and I went from P1. We took our little tram back to the pit, and we did the bus ride one day with Kyle and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept telling him, I was like, man, I'm so like Kyle. Have you seen him lately? That dude, everywhere he walks, he's grinning ear to ear. Dude, he's like living the life, you know. And I was like, you know what, Kyle, I'm so proud of you, man. Like he rode the struggle bus for a long time, and now he's like a legit factory rider, grinning ear to ear, making a living racing motorbikes. And I think it's the best thing ever.
Right?
And he's ripping.
Yeah, I mean, he's riding so well. All those guys are riding well.
Yeah.
Factory rider, doing the right thing. Hauling ass. I think
he looks happier than he's ever been, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, and he doesn't have to race the full series because baggers are only however many rounds, right?
Still, I mean, I agree. But anyway, great. So let's how about stock 1000? Stock 1000.
Let's get into it.
Holy crap. Well, I mean, so that's another one, right? Where stock 1000. I mean, obviously I can't help but be a Hayden fan. I mean, of course, I mean, Hayden, and to see Hayden win the championship is obviously
man.
over
I mean,
the guy.
And you know what? I mean, Bobier, man, like what a heartbreaker. You know, Ezra came into the weekend leading the thing, and you know, I ran into Jacob Waffles, like his old mechanic for Motorsport Exotica. I guess he hired him for the weekend, and it was him and Papa Smurf Kondo, right?
Oh, okay.
And I was like, where the fuck is Ezra? And they're like, dude, he's in the hospital. I was like, what do you mean he's in the hospital? Like, he was fucked up, like, for real.
And you know, he rode so well the beginning of the season. I mean,
Yeah, he did.
He rode just spot on. Everything was amazing. So nobody really knew how that championship was gonna end up. And,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm thrilled for Hayden to get it, but behind the scenes, there was a lot going on there, and even the battles. I mean, you saw it, right? The battles for second, the battles for third.
Yeah.
Battles for third.
Oh, dude. Like those ones where it was like in race 1, it was like Caleb DeCarroll running down that group of dudes. I think it might have been that Diego guy on the Cowie. And Ben Smith, right?
Yeah, Ben Smith.
Yeah, dude. And they're like sawing each other's wheel off like every lap. I was like, dude.
Every corner. Yeah, I mean, it was
like they'd pass. They were there, and they're like battling for third.
Yeah,
there's like a four bike battle for third.
Yeah, and then the differences in the bikes obviously were nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, Ben's riding a little bit of an underdog R1. I mean, obviously the bike runs well, but to watch him get completely just jerked off the corners, but then actually have some top end coming back, and then you see the Cowie and the BMW. I mean, just crazy to see the differences. And even Hayden, right? Hayden had a pretty hard time dispatching of Travis. Travis rode incredibly well. And, he could obviously use the BMW power, but I mean, Hayden had his hands full trying to make the break. So again, just absolutely fantastic racing.
Yeah, he totally earned that one. I got to chat with him too. And I was talking to him. We did a magazine track day at Thunder Hill, like, I don't know, 2017, 18, something like that. And Hayden was there because he was still doing the Cycle World man in a van shit. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
And so we scumbagged Sam Smith from Road and Track to do a 2-up with me. And I conspired with Hayden to, be a goon near us. And I'm thinking he's going to do wheelies and just be the Hayden Gillum goon that I know and love.
You turn him loose?
And I did. I turned him loose, and dude, he did the opposite of that. We go in the back straight, past the bridge, and I'm on the brakes, and here goes Hayden on the outside, close enough to like make contact with my mirror almost in a stoppie past us. And then he backed it in front of us. And, Sam Smith was after the ride. He's like, yeah, man, that was a good time. That guy's a lunatic, whatever. And I'm like, was it a good time? Hold out your hand. And his hand was all shaking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man, Hayden's a stud, dude. That guy, I wish he had a full Superbike ride, like a proper one,
Yeah, I mean, again, hats off to for Disrupt for getting done with it.
Yeah.
A little bit of an underdog bike, obviously now in the class.
Yeah.
Obviously getting it done. And I know Hayden as a rider, and I would love to see Hayden on a proper Superbike with a proper team. I think honestly, I think he would surprise a lot of people.
I mean, look at JD. Dude comes from dirt track.
Let's talk about JD. Let's talk about Superbike, because there's a lot to talk about Superbike.
Yeah. I mean, not just the Attack Boys, but I mean, JD is dude, have you seen him? He's like a little Tasmanian devil, dude. He's all yoked out. Like, what, dude? So I mean, having been involved with JD's program for quite a while, and I didn't really have any. I talked to him a couple times over the weekend because he's at a point where he knows what's up. And honestly, Richard does a great job. I mean, Richard. There's only a few crew chiefs, in my opinion. Richard's one of them that has a real handle on what the rider's doing, and he can identify what the rider's doing and say, hey, it's a rider issue, it's a bike issue, both issue. And he's got a great way of doing it. So there's not a lot of conversation. I did have some chats with after Q1
that I talked to JD about, but it was super minor. But yeah, bottom line, JD is a professional athlete, right? So he's a professional athlete. He trains the physical side, he trains his mental side, and he trains his technique. And you got to remember, right? JD won Super Prestigio. I mean, that's the best of the best at, you know, and they're in a dirt track environment. And yeah, I mean, I of course am a huge fan of JD.
Dude, he lives, sleeps, eats, breathes motorbikes. Like that dude.
Yep.
You know, the way he was telling me, he's, you know, we were talking about what he's doing for training. He's like, I do a little bit of bicycling and motocross and dirt track and turn tracks in the yard. And I'm like, what, dude? He's like, yeah, dude, he's like, I do this for a living. So this is what I have to do. That's my job. And yeah, I mean, he runs. He says he runs to stay lean.
Yeah. So I think if you look at, let's look at a professional cyclist, because that's kind of your world right now. Is like, you'll get a Tour de France guy running, you know, riding between 20 and 30 hours a week, right? 20 to 30 hours a week. And
like a lot for me is like 17 right now.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, back in my master's racing days, I'd probably be between 9 to 14 hours a week. Concentrated, but still decent amount of riding. I mean, you got to think JD's probably, and I haven't asked him this question. I might ask him this. How many hours a week are you spending on your craft? It's got to be 40. Meaning, is he working on his mental picture? Is he working on his physical picture, his technique? It's 40 hours a week. So it's not, you know, I show up to the races, yo, bro, let's get this. No.
Let's crack a couple of beers.
No.
Let's go camping.
He's a
motorcycle racing for guys like JD is not like a lot of club racers where, you know, club racers, a lot of them, it's literally like a weekend camping with the buddies, right?
Think of JD as a Steph Curry. Think of him as a Michael Phelps. That's how much time and effort and thought goes into his program. It's not, he's not an amateur. Now, there's other, I would call not professional athletes in the Superbike grid, but in JD's case, that's why he can step in and understand what a motorcycle does and what he needs to be able to make it happen. Now that combined with the enthusiasm of the team, I mean,
well, the enthusiasm of the team also comes off of him, right?
100%.
Because dude, he's got this vibe about him that's contagious, and the whole team picks up on it, right? And he comes into the team without the mega ego, and he'll ask questions. And you know, he sat there and talked to Jake, and Jake's like, yeah, I'm doing this. And he'll go and you'll see him make an adjustment. Or Richard will tell him, hey, man, you need to pick up a brake pressure here instead of there. And, you know, he'll go out in the next session and do it immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with him and trained with him enough. We would do a lot of way we concentrated our training when we were doing a lot of that is we do an out lap, we do 3 flyers in an in working on something. We do 3 reps of those. And, you know, then you would get feedback and he'd be like, what do I need to do? Okay. I would try this, or this. Done. He just does it. Yeah. And again, that's what a professional athlete does. And so it's no bullshit. He's only concerned is getting around the racetrack as fast as humanly possible. And you're right. That loops, the team loops to that. Right. And then they feed off of each other.
Yes.
And then it just compounds.
Yeah.
And, you know, for JD to get on a podium, I mean, it's amazing. And I know we had a little problem on Sunday, but the dude had pace on Sunday.
Dude, I don't know. Did you see the throttle trace thing?
I did. He was not
holy
around.
Shit, dude.
He was not screwing around.
Like he out throttled Jake. That never happens, dude.
Oh no, he trust me. I think he had serious pace on Sunday.
But. Yeah, and then, you know, I mean, he had serious pace on Sunday, but then you know the opposite of that, right? Like, and you know, I'm not shitting on them at all. Just to be clear, I like them. I'm a fan of them. They're like Yamaha family, but Skoltz, right? Like, dude, they rode the struggle bus all weekend.
Yeah, I didn't
he's out there in warm up on Sunday doing 12s.
Yeah,
like, who are you, man?
Yeah, I don't talk to those guys. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously I can see sort of what's going on. And I didn't watch. Normally like in the evenings, I'll watch obviously Super Sport, and I'll use typically Superbike because we want to see what they're doing. And I didn't see anything on his stuff, so I can't lie, I didn't pay any attention to that.
Yeah, man. He, Schulte was kind of on the struggle bus all week, and he wouldn't get specific with me, but he was not stoked. Let's just say that. Like he was not happy.
Okay,
and the team's not happy, and I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, but there's something.
Okay, but
I don't know what it is.
But that leads to the bigger thing, right? Which is like, it's not like JD can show up and be the most badass rider in the world, and he can have the best technique, but if he doesn't have a team that's there to support him, and help figure stuff out, right? That's only a small part of it. And I think that's one thing that's lost in the Superbike world, is that the rider's a big part of it. The team's just as big a part of it at that level.
Right.
Not, you're not jumping on a Super Sport bike. You're not jumping on a Twins bike or a Stock 1000 where you can kind of get away with stuff. No, it's huge.
Yeah. And I talked to Stefano Mesa too. Like, he was,
that reminds me, we got to give Stefano a shout out for the electric bike podium. How the
hell yeah, dude.
How did they do that? In Texas,
how did they get the e-bike to live?
Dude, well, I did hear that it did not make the cool down lap.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, the bottom line is they got it figured out. So
yeah, dude, they got an e-bike on a gas bike podium. Like that's a feat.
It is.
Right?
It is.
That was a big deal. I know they were cheering like they had won.
I'm gonna turn the light on here.
Yeah, so we could see you. Yeah. I mean, I know you're white and everything, but you don't glow in the dark. So
there you go. Well, it's getting so freaking dark early now.
Yeah. Well, I got the ring light.
There you go.
Ring light.
All right. What else? We got?
All right. So yeah, Stefano Mesa and Superbike, dude.
Dude, it's awesome.
Did you see their goofy Days of Thunder video?
I didn't see that,
dude. So if you remember in the Days of Thunder movie, it was like Tom Cruise's character was like a substitute rider or driver or something, and he was like, "Oh, we need to," and he drove Rowdy Burns' car, right? He's like, "You spin that thing up." So they did that whole thing, dude.
I'll have to find
it. It's like, though, I mean, it's like, thankfully those guys are motorbike people, because there's no way they would be homeless if they were actors. But it was goofy and campy and funny as shit, and I was
good on them. And
yeah,
again, I think that team has gone places. I think they've only scratched the surface of where they're going to be. Obviously, with Canby being there, Canby I think is coming back. I think they've only scratched the surface, and I think not only is Canby obviously going to be a player, but I think the other people on that team are going to be players.
Dude, PJ is so close to that breakthrough. I mean, he did have that win at Brainerd, but yeah, like he's getting super close to being like a consistent guy on the top, right, or top three. And then obviously Bobier, he's Bobier.
Absolutely.
But Stefano, what if Stefano ends up on the third one?
It's impressive. I mean, for him to come out, I mean, never been in that. And obviously he's ridden thousands before, but this goes back to, it's not just riding 1,000, right? You've got to deal with how the team gets the level of a super bike up to that performance.
Right.
And it's a game changer. So for Stefano to jump into that environment and gel, absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to him and he's like, dude, the Superbike's way harder to ride. And the thing is, like, the Superbike, I've ridden Richards before, and
the forces
I think
are insane.
Oh, dude, it's like in order to take advantage of all that nanny shit that makes those things supposedly easy to ride, you got to ride them on the edge. You got to really make the thing do the thing,
Absolutely right. They have more acceleration force, they have more brake force, and more coordinating force, and they're not going to work until you do that. So,
right.
Anyway, Superbike. I guess we can finish up on Superbike. Is also, dude, you got to give a little bit of a shout out for Gagne. I mean, on Saturday.
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
we went into the weekend thinking we'd be battling for fourth.
His lap times. I mean, you have to remember the other lap records were set earlier in the year. Cooler weather. And for him to do that was super, super impressive.
Dude, he busted Roger Lee's lap record from 2017, and Roger did it on a proper Q tire.
Yeah. Oh no.
We did it on a 5.
Yeah. It's
Gagne went out and did that shit on a 5, man. But he was clicking him off. Mm-hmm. He was like, he parked an RV in the 08s and he just lived there.
It's impressive.
He went fishing. He was like making s'mores in the 08s.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I will, in full transparency, I will give who I thought was going to be a winner this weekend was Heron. I actually thought Heron would win. And the reason I thought Heron would win is because, he won back here
in 19.
And I know how much of an emotional rider he is. And also I know how the Ducati works. And I was like, 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
And so I'm that was not unexpected in my book.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you got to give props to that guy. Like
Jake was.
I am not I'm a vocal not fan of his, but you got to give the dude props. Like he had pace, and truthfully, like he might have made things interesting on Saturday if they wouldn't have shit an engine.
Actually,
right?
I have no doubt he would have been there Saturday. He was looking very comfortable on Saturday. I think he would have done great, but. And of course, obviously he won on Sunday, but it also goes back to the emotional versus technical rider and, the whole ups and downs with everything. I mean, you look at the first lap in race 1, right? I mean, Heron was putting it to Jake for like the first 3/4 of a lap, but then that last quarter lap, Jake gained 0.6 on him and everybody else. And then he built it up to about 5 and then just rode that wave all the way. Yep. It's pretty crazy. So, what questions? We must have questions.
We have a couple of questions actually. Fuck, we have a lot of people commenting about how they love the Hooligans class and the spec fuel stuff. But we spent a lot of time talking about that. And then let's see. 771 says, Hawk Mazzota did have the championship locked up at Laguna. Thanks for that, buddy. Stephen Pettinger says, would Ken speak to how if Hayden had weight on his arms mid-corner, what would you do to correct that habit?
So it's funny. We actually, that was the conversation I had with JD on Friday. When I watched the video, you can watch the hesitation of JD putting it on his knee. And so I asked him, I said, hey, you're lagging getting the bike onto your knee. And you can see that there's tension on your arm. And he said, he goes, we had a front end setting that didn't quite give me the confidence. And he goes, I'm absolutely holding the bike up. So they made an improvement with the front end and he was able to relax his inside arm. And you watch how much quicker he has his knee down on Saturday versus Friday. It's crazy. Friday he'd be like down and then Saturday was getting it down. And so
it's like pancake, boom.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jake and even Heron are very, very good at that. And can be. So what we do is to get weight off of your inside arm, we're going to use your core. So we got to get your core's got to get tightened up at turn in because it's very difficult to get your weight off of your arm after turn in. And remember, I'm not saying there's no weight on your arm because you can't do that. What we're saying is we don't want to have weight on your arm that doesn't allow the steering head to move, right? Because the steering head has to move. So you can, as you transfer your weight to the inside, the steering head's going to move. Whether you're pushing on the bar or using your body, they're doing the same thing. You're affecting the center of gravity and the steering head has to move. If you've got so much weight on there and if you're holding the bar still, the bike's not going to turn. So we engage our core at turn in and that helps take weight off of your arm. And the report cards for that are your outside thigh, how it's in the tank, and your inside foot flexed up as well. So those two things help get the weight off of your arm at turn in, because when you're braking, of course your hands are loaded. They have to be. But it's after that how we get the weight off of your arm to get the bike turning, get your knee on the ground.
Is there a report card for mid corner too, or?
It's a little bit mid corner.
Like I always did the forum on the outer forearm across the tank a little bit.
That works, but actually we're using a little bit more elbows up. I mean, why they call Ben Ski's elbows? His elbows were up, right? They're not down. We would just make sure that the elbows up a little bit, and that seems to work. That seems to work well. The arm on the tank, you have to be really careful with that. And the reason being because nowadays, watch MotoGP, watch World Superbike, watch Gagne, watch JD. They're actually fairly upright until they release the brake lever. Why are they upright? They're upright so they can have the front end up more, the bike's more upright so they can have more front grip because they're braking so hard. That transfer of your arm being out happens later now. So you don't want to have that too.
So you'll be like the arm across the tank thing. You could be like locked into that position and unable to make adjustments.
You can be way too early with that. And if you're too early with that, then you've not saved anything for the exit. Plus, you're not able to have the bike stood up enough to have more contact patch. So again, it's shocking how upright. Watch the MotoGP guys. Until brake release, they're very upright. Then after they release the brake is when they're transferring their bodies over.
Right.
So,
well, they got to get their foot back up on the peg so they could.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there's timing and there's report cards for all of that.
Okay. So, Kirk Erlinger, he says Kirk. Yeah. He says, howdy, man. Glad Ken is back on. And he says, damn, Ken, I keep rushing the entry. He says Phil has his work cut out for him. VIR on North on Monday.
Yeah, so Kirk's a great guy. I'm doing a bunch of online coaching with him. And again, that's, we can talk about that. There's a lot of ways to improve your riding, not being at a racetrack. And Kirk is a great example of, he signed up for the Blaze program. We've done a lot of coaching online. He'll send me videos or send me data and we can go over that. And so if people think the only way that they can improve is being at the track on a bike, bullshit. It's so much of it is done off the bike. So
that's a lot of it's up here, right? In the classroom.
Exactly. And in Kirk's case, this is why our central point of reference is the exit. So bike placement is the number one fundamental, meaning
but I read on the internet that it was my body position was number one.
Ah, fuck. What? So, well, yeah, I guess if you're hooting for the
hashtag elbow down.
Yeah. So bike placement is why the reason bike placement is the number one fundamental is because the definition of bike placement is putting your bike in the best possible position on entry and exit to achieve maximum acceleration. That's it. So we have to think about where's our bike placed for the exit so we can have maximum acceleration. That's what we're looking for. So if you're struggling with rushing entries, we have to change your thought process. You have to think about how is my exit? What are the report cards for my exit? Where am I releasing the brake? Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I'm like making note of all of that because, I always rush entries after I've had a stint of time off the bike.
Oh yeah.
So because it feels safer, right? It feels a little safer.
Exits are where it's at. And so to be clear, I'm not saying get in slow. Oh, point and shoot. Slow in bullshit. What I'm saying is get in as fast as humanly possible without ruining your exit is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's both.
Right. Okay. So we've got a couple more topics left. First of all, I heard that you're no longer part of government.
That is accurate.
So what's going on there?
Yeah. So a couple things. One, I'm for the people that do or don't know, I was co-owners of a track day company up here in Pacific Northwest. Great track day company, Track Time. And I sold my half to my partner. And so I'm no longer in the track day company.
High five.
Yeah, exactly. Justin's like, take me, pick me.
No, I got out of the racing side of government.
I know that. No, your track day thing's pretty cool. You've been doing it for so long, and you obviously got it dialed. And it was great, and there was so many cool things about it, but it was time for me to move on. Meaning, I'm not getting better with my stuff. And it's the same thing with some of the online coaching. So I'm actually not going to be doing online coaching anymore. I'm turning that over.
What?
Well,
wow.
So yeah, I mean, the Blaze program is fantastic. And Kirk made a mention of Phil Horowitz. Phil's been with me for 20 years. I think you even know Phil. And Phil's wonderful. And he's going to be taking over my online coaching at Blaze. And yeah, I personally am not getting better. There's things that I need to work on in my shit. I got a book project that I want to do. I got some Substack writing that I want to be doing. I'm lagging on my podcast. The topics just keep getting, I have so many more. And so,
or you're too busy doing mine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's so there's just,
this is like a just for fun kind of podcast, really.
I know our structures were unstructured.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to accomplish. And as much as I love spinning laps with people, as much as I love doing a lot of the one-on-one stuff, and I still will be doing that, just on a much more limited basis.
Yeah.
But I need to get better, and I'm not getting better. And that's my whole gig is I want to get better. And the better I get, the better everybody else gets.
Davey Stone says he's old and slow. Does he have a chance, Ken?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I mean,
fucking Davey Stone, first of all.
I know, of course it's Davey, right? Yeah, get out of the bar and get off your boat. So, but I mean, look at JD, right? So JD had not ridden basically a road race bike in how many years, right? But he's got technique, and if you have technique, you've got fundamentals. You jump on it, and you can just get after it. And yeah, it's an extreme example, but of course, I mean, technique's technique.
And then the last question, and we did talk about this briefly on the last show, and it's that Ken Hill had never eaten a breakfast taco.
So this,
and I promised I would bring him one.
So this,
and I fucking did.
This turned out to be a problem.
Was it?
It was. So,
what was the problem, Ken?
Okay, so like you're so like in the garage, right? You're back there like, psst, Ken, come here. Psst, come over here. Right. So you're like pointing to the back of the garage, and you got this little freaking breakfast taco, right? And of course I opened it up and I'm like, holy mother of God, right? This thing looks amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm like slammed at the moment. So I take my little freaking breakfast taco over to my little area, and I set it there. And of course, everybody in the garage is like, what the hell's that? Right. And so I don't open it yet. So I open it and I have a bite, and it's freaking amazing. Right. I mean, it's freaking amazing. And it thing's amazing.
Yeah.
Then everybody's like, what do you got there? What's going on? So yeah, I ended up breaking some pieces off so other people could have it.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, well, I had to.
You had to share?
I had to share. But yeah, that was a problem. That was freaking amazing. Where did you get those?
Yeah, I found that place in 2019. Actually, I work for, you know this, right? I work for an entertainment PR firm, and they go to South by Southwest every year. And a coworker of mine was like, "Oh my God, you got to go to this Vera Cruz place for breakfast tacos." And I'm like, "What the fuck is a breakfast taco?" And yeah, it's like I guess you could say it's kind of like a converted church bus on the side of the road.
They were so good.
They're crack, right?
That was a problem.
Yeah, it's like was it hatch chili and chorizo and black beans and avocado, and then did you do the avocado salsa?
Okay, so yes, and it was I hate to say it, that was a game changer. That was
bro.
Yeah, because I tried it without, and then I tried it with, and I'm like, oh, this is a problem.
Yeah.
That was an issue. Thanks, Dustin. That was an issue.
Yeah, I told you. I told you you'd have one and you'd be ruined.
Yeah, that was a problem. Oh my God.
Right on, man. Well, you know what? It's been a good chat. I guess you got Jersey in a couple weeks?
No, I mean, well, kind of like not this weekend, but next. We're actually testing Monday. We have something new to test on Monday.
Oh,
yep.
What new? What do you have new?
We are going and doing a private test on Monday on a certain motorcycle that is not 600 cc's.
So you're testing it as GSX-R 750. Okay.
Yep. So anyway, we're doing that Monday, and then you
guys are fucking going to the dark side.
Can't, dude.
I hear you, man.
You don't
I hear you.
face so much. I mean,
yeah,
look,
I mean, I had a chat with Tom Halverson at Yamaha about that very thing. I mean, it's the way the rules have gone. It's making it difficult for a privateer guy to make the decision to even stay on the Yamaha, right?
it's really tough. It's really tough
because those Suzuki guys, they're running the same engine all year.
Correct. And I mean, not only are they the fastest off the corner, but the top speed's insane. I mean, we draft to draft, it's 8 miles an hour over an R6. And it's not just us, right? You watch Josh Hayes get punched in the face. You watch Mads get punched in the face. I mean, it's not a good time. And I know we're talking about the cylinder head and the kit head and all that.
Yeah.
The problem is that actually doesn't really come into play. What we're still missing is the kit transmission that they have it in World Super Sport.
World Super Sport, yeah.
So even though we could get that, we're still missing another piece of the pie. And
yeah,
the bottom line.
Why don't they just make the rules the same as World Super Sport and call it good?
Well, that was the intention, but yeah, the bottom line is an apple's not an orange.
Right. Yeah.
And so
that's a bummer. But
it is a bummer.
You got to. It is what it is, right?
We got.
And then, like, is that like a plan to race that next season, or is that like a plan to race that at Jersey?
Oh, racing at Jersey if all goes well.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yeah, okay. Get the fuck out of our way.
And CJ's got some time at Jersey, and so does his teammate Maz.
Matt, they're both CJ was insanely fast there last year.
Yeah,
really fast. And Maz is insanely fast there as well. So we're
I guess we'll have to be rooting for those guys at Jersey.
Yeah, we're jacked. I think. Yeah, I mean, Jersey's going to be an incredible round. I think there's a lot of Superbike guys that are just going to want to come out like completely no holds barred fight. I think that's going to be good. The twins class is going to be great. Baggers, dude, get your popcorn out for the baggers. Yeah. And in Super Sport as well. I think there's the R6 does work pretty well there. But of course, so does the other bikes. So.
Well, right on, Ken. Well, good luck. It's been a good show. And I guess we'll catch you after Jersey. Yeah.
Be a lot more to talk about. So yeah, thanks, Dustin.
All right, buddy.